Hi, y'all. Katie Parker, alcoholic. Oh my gosh, today is my 67th birthday. I know. I swear to God, I cannot believe I'm on the other side of 60s. I swear to God, you just go, this can't be true, and then you look in the mirror and you go, oh, it damn sure is. All right. I was at the airport, and Clear, where they take the picture of you, and they go look right in there, and she took the picture. I said, who was that old lady that she's on there? Oh my God. I swear, getting old is so fabulous in the mind. The body is just a little challenging. Yeah, a little challenge. Getting off the floor is a 3-point move, right? It's like left hip, right leg, stand up. Used to just be a gazelle. First, I want to thank Sheldon. Sheldon called me and said, Katie, I'd love for you to do this. It was over a year ago. Most of you probably know that I lost Charlie 21 months ago. As a matter of fact, today would be his 40th AA birthday. And we shared that date with my birthday and his AA birthday. And people go, oh, how cool. There's nothing cool about that. It sucks, right? It's my day to have my birthday. It's his day to have his birthday. So Charlie and I always had those kind of struggles. We were very much the yin and the yang. But when Sheldon asked me, it was, I just didn't want to come back out on the road. I knew it was what God would want me to do, to carry my message to those people who can hear my voice. I always like to say that if I speak your language, that's what this is about. But if somebody's with you that just really doesn't get anything, it's just because I don't speak their language. It's kind of the same thing with spiritual teachers. Emmett Fox speaks to me. Mark Houston was a huge, Thomas Merton, put me to sleep. Eckhart Tolle, I'd rather take a bullet to the head. But see, if he's your guy, that's what's going on, is they're speaking your language. And that's the kind of cool thing about AA, because certain people can say certain things, and I can really hear it loud and clear. Sheldon asked me, and I said, oh, Sheldon, I don't really want to get back out on the road. I'm going to probably wait till about 2026. And he told me the format, and I went, I'm in. That I will do. And so I love talking about the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to try to do this respectfully so that your butt doesn't just get incredibly sore, but we're going to try to cook through this stuff. I originally had plans to do 3, 4, 10, and 11. And then right before I was walking out of the house, God was like, nope, you're going to bring another one in. And I thought, really? Damn, I worked 3 days putting this together. And so that was the plan. So here we go. Big thing about me, I was sober October 28th of 1984. I am 40 years sober. I had 5.5 more months than Charlie, and that was a big damn deal in our house. I swear, I always loved telling him, honey, it'll make a lot more sense in about 5.5 months. Work your way there. Big hole in my heart, but God has blessed me the last 4 months with all the funny things. Charlie was a funny guy. I'm a funny gal, so there was so many funny things that we would do or say, and for about the last 6 months, I've just been walking through the house laughing. I'm so fortunate to have that instead of the darkness that comes with grief. I'm not a big fan of being in the darkness of grief. I just think it's an absolute waste of time if you really want to know the truth, because ain't nothing changing there. You're not getting the person back. Yes, you got to go through the certain stages of it all or whatever, but there's going to be a fine line there. With my sponsor's name is Marty Ruby, and she, when I lost my first husband after 20-year marriage, it's really been unfortunate, but she said to me one time, she said, Katie, there's a fine line between sorrow and self-pity, and you've crossed it. And she was absolutely right. That happens right at about 14 months, that you don't get to keep going on and on and on and on with it. So for whatever that's worth, maybe that'll help somebody. But I misunderstood a lot in recovery. I came into Alcoholics Anonymous and loved it. I loved it on day one. I'm the girl that loves to be at the loud bar. I'm a party girl. I just loved it. So when I came into AA and found what you guys had to offer, I was all in. And I found out later on that that's not the case for most people, which is really shocking, because I thought that for 17 years. So let me see a show of hands for the people who loved AA on day one, not day 4. Look at that. It's like 8. Yeah. And I thought it was everybody. So what that taught me is the new guy doesn't have that much time. See, I'm coming back because I like you guys. The new guy does not want to come back the second time. And I always say, guy, that's the way I talk. So, the new guy he's not even liking his first meeting. So the urgency of getting people through the steps quickly is crucial. We study the big book line by line in Austin. It's called the Primary Purpose Group. We meet on Tuesday nights at 7:30, and it's at 2701 South Lamar. We'd love to have you there. It's called the Primary Purpose Group, and we study the book line by line. We do it a little different than some folks. We like try to keep our personal experience out of it. We're trying to learn what the founders found necessary to put in the book, why they put it in the book there, how we can connect the dots. There's nothing against sharing your personal experience. As a matter of fact, that's what AA is founded on. But at this particular meeting, we do it a little differently. So we've been doing it now for 18 years, and I'm not a big educated person. As a matter of fact, education. I knew in the second grade I was in trouble. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, what are they talking about, And so I learned nothing. And of course, I was married to Charlie, who loved history, loved anything like that. And his whole family was a family of educators. And, if you were caught in a car on a road trip, you really just want to jump out the window. It's like, oh my God, we were talking about something that was current, and that family figured out how to take back to the 1500s. You're like, what? No, are we still talking about it? It's like the summer solstice, something silly like that. You're just like, oh, you guys are killing me. So when you hand me a big book, I am not enthusiastic, and I know I am not alone in that. You may have liked school, and you still went, oh boy, that's an outdated book. The goose hung high. What are they talking about? But the truth of the matter is I learned so much more than I ever thought I could. So this is what I did, and I don't want to say I did it wrong. Nobody was doing anything to me either. There was plenty of people carrying a solid message. I didn't hear it. I hear people say there's nobody carrying a message. I don't agree with that. I think I wasn't listening, because I found out that Mark Houston was in my neck of the woods in '96, and I never saw him or heard him or even knew who he was. He was a huge, huge person in Charlie's life that woke Charlie up. And remember, Charlie was waking up to Mark Houston. I was not, but Charlie was then getting better, and I wasn't. So that's a motivator, okay? So, and bear with me with this voice thing. I am trying to figure out what is going on with my voice, but it will make it through today, I can promise you that. So here's what I misunderstood. I thought AA was all about not drinking. I thought that was the finish line, right? And then once we get the drink problem put aside, I can handle life, right? I can do what we did. Codependency group therapy was a big deal in the 80s. And let me tell you, I don't want to ever knock that. I learned incredibly good life skills from that. And I really think I hear inventory really well because of that. But I didn't realize it wasn't getting me closer to the Creator. That's what the whole point of the 12 steps is for me to have a personal, intimate relationship with the Creator that we actually talk. And that I didn't even know how to connect to those dots. Today I can give you a lot of cool things to do to try to connect those dots. So I thought physical sobriety was the finish line. Incorrect. In the book it even says not drinking is just the beginning. Apparently I wasn't reading the book either. So, there you go. And here's another thing that's very interesting about the counseling. And I said this last night. Counseling is a privilege. It really is. Be very careful with counseling, though, because what they do is they get who you're pissed off in column 1, what they did in column 2, and then what it affected in column 3, right? My self-esteem, pride, ambition, security, all of those things. And then they stop. See, they're not looking for me to find my mistakes and faults. That's not their job. But you have to then take that piece of inventory to your sponsor, or they take that whatever you found out to your sponsor, and then they get you to find out your faults and your mistakes. And trust me, and I'm not talking about rape, physical abuse, any of that. That's horrific. Set those horrific things aside. I'm talking about being pissed off at your neighbor, being pissed off at your sister, right? Because we've been given a second chance in life, God wants us to take everybody and get on a good playing field. I know that's hard to believe. You're over here going, I ain't ever talking to my sister. See? There are some deep family grudges, deep. And I promise you, I promise you, if you do the work, you can get to the other side of that. It's really remarkable. And then, of course, I thought church, I've always leaned towards Christianity. I thought church was about finding God. And not today, I understand it's along with, not instead of. So if you're more of the temple, the Buddhist, whatever your spiritual drive is, you cannot just throw yourself into that. Some of you may know Chad. He's going to be probably my new sidekick on doing weekends. And he does, what's the guy's name that does all that? Makes all those funny noises. Nope. Somebody throw another one out there. Oh, he's a big deal right now. I mean, he has huge seminars. Well, apparently I'm in the wrong state here. I thought for sure you guys would know who that is. It'll come to me. That's the one thing in my grief. Oh my God, it's like complete blank spots on names. Complete. Oh, Joe Dispenza. There it is. Joe Dispenza. So Chad is just totally turned on by this guy. Well, I'm interested. I lasted 22 seconds. And so you see, it's whatever floats your boat, but you just don't want to go all in with that, right? So I also like to talk about age of sobriety, right? I get to do that now with 40 years, right? I'm an old timer. I was 26 when I came into AA. I wasn't 16. Not that there's anything against that, but I had plenty of rough times out there. I had a 5-year-old and a single mom. It was pretty horrific. You know, that little girl got drugged through stuff she should never have been drugged through. And she's going to be 46 next month, and we have a great relationship. But I like to talk about years of sobriety because it's also along the lines of maturity, right? The new guy, between 8, some say if you make it past a year, you're in. Oh, I don't agree with that at all. Matter of fact, I've seen way too much to prove that is incorrect. 18 months to 3 years is where you really start getting itchy. And you get itchy because you don't realize what the root of your problem is. You're still working a program majority, and I'm going to be very majority. So if something just crawls up your butt and pisses you off, just work on it with me. Just be with me on this. We'll get there. So 18 months to 3 years, what you've got is you don't know that the root of your problem is selfishness and self-centeredness. And so you're starting to get really edgy at not drinking. And, everybody's pissing you off in your meeting. You're the one showing up with the key. You're the only one making the coffee. Everybody's taking advantage of you. Oh, I'm the one they always tell, go pick up the new guy. All of that kind of stuff. So, and then what happens between really 3 to 5, 5 to 7, 7 to 12, I think your toughest times are 7 to 12. When you start entering the double digits, you enter into what I call the teenage years. And I mean, you can't teach that person much. I mean, they're just like, oh, yeah, yeah, whatever, right? I mean, it's so challenging because, I was all of these things. That's why I know it so well. So I was the one who was, you would tell me something, and I swear I put it through this mind, and I either agreed with it or disagreed. Never had an open mind to consider it, right? And so you're just kind of filtering through everything. And those teenage years are the ones where a lot of trouble happens. Infidelity happens. You start picking up gambling. You start picking up pornography. Women, typically go to the gym 95 times a week. Or they start busting out babies. They're going to do something. And it's treating their alcoholism. Because what's happened is the same thing that happened to me, is I quit working in an AA program. After I did the majority of work, the rest of my stuff was what I call meeting-based sobriety. So I needed another meeting, and then I would get relief, but I wouldn't get freedom. See, I'd go into a meeting, and I'd have a lot of fear on me, and the meeting happened to be on fear, and this is what I'd say. God knew exactly what I needed to hear, right? Didn't ever do a fear inventory, right? Why? Didn't even know you were supposed to. And then I'd leave there, and I would have relief, but I would not get the freedom. Because the freedom comes from pen to paper. And I won't make anybody show a raise of hands, but ask yourself, when was the last time you wrote a piece of inventory? Not just a physical 10-step where you're speaking to somebody, but actually put pen to paper. Magic happens. And here's the key. This is not to make anyone feel bad or anything. I didn't believe that. And it took me 4 years, between 17 years and 21 years, to come out of untreated alcoholism, because I'd done that codependency group therapy for 10 years. I did the weekends. I did everything. I know everything there is to know about myself, period. And I didn't do anything. And let me tell you what, I was what I call stark raving sober. Stark raving sober. And it's a very dangerous place, because the damage you do looks like the bedevilments on page 52. So ask yourself, once again, this is just your own personal in your mind. We were having trouble with personal relationships. That's a tough one. We couldn't control our emotional nature. Have you ever just totally lost it in public? It's almost like it being in a blackout, right? And you come to and you're like, everybody's looking at you, go, was that me? Did I just roll up on that counter like that? Wow. And we were prey to misery and depression. It's very easy. We couldn't make a real living. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy, and we couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. It doesn't matter if you only have one of those. One of those is really fixable. All of them is really fixable. In untreated alcoholism, Joe was very, very sick. And, I'm the marrying gal, man. I marry you till death do us part. I'm a huge fan of marriage. I love it. It comes with a lot of work, but I love it. And I hope you do too if you're married. It's a pretty important piece. Just saying. So Joe got really sick, and I'm driving the goddamn school bus. I do my fitness career. I was a jazzercise instructor for 30 years. I had the best career in the world. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to get to class, and I am wrapped tight, right? And we're at a four-way lights, four ways, and the lights are broken. So you're only getting through one person at a time. And I can see my facility. And this guy and I are inching along, and he cheats, and he goes ahead of me. Oh, he cheated. Be sure you see my old idea here. He cheated. Now, who's going to be fair in those circumstances, right? I mean, if you get one of these today, wow, that's nice. You used to get them all the time, but you didn't. So he cheats, and there was something about when he just kind of looked at me, kind of like kissed my ass, and my head blew off, and I went into a literal blackout. Completely sober. I believe I was 15 years sober. I get out of my car. Now, we're in gridlock. This is Texas. So I have no worry that someone's got a firearm, right? So I get out of the car, and I go up to his car, and I put my hands together, and I just smashed the side of his door. And, and I looked at him and said some really ugly stuff. And his window was up, and he tries to get out of the car, but he's got his seatbelt on. It was happening in slow motion. I thought, well, that's funny. And then he finally gets the seatbelt off, forgets to put his car in park, and he rolls into the car in front of him. Well, now by the time he's got out, he's like the Tasmanian devil, okay? He could care less that it's a woman. And I mean, he comes out swinging at me right away. And I'm backing up, knocks my glasses off, didn't hit me in the face, but he caught my shoulder. And these two guys from two different separate pickup trucks get out of their trucks, and one of them has a billy club because, we're in Texas. So, and he gets the guy by the throat, and I think he's giving me the opportunity to come chew his ass out. And I mean, I got ready to yell at the guy, and the guy goes, "Lady, get out of here!" I thought, oh, sorry, I read that wrong. And I get in my car, and it was like Noah parting Moses parting the sea. I mean, everybody, like I was an ambulance. They're just, let this chick go. And when I got in the parking lot, I absolutely could not believe what just happened. It was like a blackout. It really was. It was like the twig snapped. I guarantee if a drink had been close, that probably would have happened. And we all know people have gone out with time. Maybe they're in the room today. That's the kind of stuff that I was living in, because life is stressful when I'm not working an AA program. I'm going to 5 meetings a week, right? I had 3 blow-in-the-bag anxiety attacks. Never had an anxiety attack in my life. And I remember being really scared when I had those. So that's how wrapped tight I get. And I always like to say this is where it gets really dicey in AA, because if you have to go get some dental work, and then all of a sudden they're going to give you Vicodin, of course, at least they were doing it back in the 90s. I realized that I do need the Vicodin. I need it, it's fair. I got a toothache, I get to take that. And then before you know it, now I'm thinking I need to go get more dental work, right? So this is all, nobody's being in on my secret here, right? This is what ends up happening. And people like to say things like, pills aren't my problem. And anything will work. I will shove anything I can in that black hole. So don't be fooled by it. Then it says on page 59, half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point, right? Do you believe that there are times in your sobriety that you are half measuring it? Absolutely. Everybody does. It's the nature of it. This is not good, bad, right, wrong. The fact is you just have to know where you are. And then we can work with where you are. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon, right? Surrendering oneself to a feeling gives up the natural impulses. And here's the tricky thing about praying. I think what happens in untreated alcoholism, we are lobbing out prayers, hoping for a burning bush. And that just typically doesn't happen. And don't get me wrong, I hope to be able to teach you a different way to pray. Because we tend to ask, but we never affirm, right? God, please get me out of this financial situation. So we just kind of lob out a prayer like that, maybe one or two a day, instead of affirming that my finances are in great shape. I'm blown away at how comfortable I am with the amount of cash I have. See, the affirmation, either you believe in spiritual law or you don't. And spiritual law is in effect just like the law of gravity. I'm not going to step off this building and hope that gravity changes, and keeps me there. I'm not going to stick something in the light socket, right? A knife in the light socket. The law of electricity. These are so important to understand. Mark Houston was the one who turned me on to spiritual laws. I'll never forget it. I had a big problem. Anybody in here have a big problem? Oh, they're big, aren't they, when you have a big problem. It's one of the worst I've ever had, Oh, and then somebody, you tell them and you really expect some sort of, wow, that is a big problem. And they're like, okay. So my career was in jeopardy. I had a franchise. There were certain rules you had to play by. I don't know about you guys, but I don't play by the rules. I make up the rules. I've operated like that all my life. And I do it to where I believe I'm close enough to the edge that I'm not over the edge. And so in my career, you would get a surprise attack. Somebody would come in to one of your classes, and you had to be following the guidelines. Well, I never followed the guidelines. But I had enough people always tell me when they're coming so I could prepare for it. Well, this time that wasn't going to happen. Big problem. I don't think I would have lost my franchise I had for 30 years, but I darn sure would have put myself in a very uncomfortable position with the owners that loved me like family. So Charlie goes, why don't you go out and ask Mark? And I'm thinking, I don't need to ask Mark any question. He goes, go talk to him about it. So I thought, fine. 45-minute drive out there to see him. He comes out of a business meeting, which was really incredible. That's never lost on me, how people will just stop what they're doing for us, right? That's just what we do. And he comes out, and Mark could pull a cigarette coal like nobody I'd ever seen. I mean, he could pull a coal like that. And you just go, wow, that is a smoker. And so he comes out, and I tell him the problem, and you know how good we are at telling the problem. I mean, we are very clear. Leave nothing out, especially women. We dot the I, cross the T, underline. And you guys are like, 3 words, period, we're done. And there's no disrespect. We women are actually quite jealous of that, okay? The fact that you can shelf an emotion, I would love to learn how to do that, but it doesn't work. And so Mark goes, Katie, why don't we look at the spiritual laws on this? He goes, this woman was actually a friend of yours. Yeah, she was. You both have grandkids? Yes, we do. And he goes, well, why don't you say 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes at night this affirmative prayer about your relationship with her? And I swear to God, that was about it. He finished smoking his cigarette, went inside. I get in my car, and I'm like, oh, my God, that is the lamest shit I have ever heard. How many times have you guys heard something from somebody you admire, and you're like, really? So I drive home, I tell Charlie, and I was raised in AA that if somebody tells you to do it, by God, you do it. You didn't take their time and not do it. So I'm going to do it. So the first day, I sensed something different. 3 minutes is a long time, by the way, very long time. And I sensed something different. By day 2, it was completely changed. And I could not believe it. It was shocking. And then about 6 weeks later, all of a sudden, the person that was supposed to come into my business didn't come in. It was somebody else. And I said, oh, my God, where's so-and-so? And they said, it was the weirdest thing. She told me to come instead. And I thought, oh, my God. Thank you. Now, what it taught me was how much dishonesty I was doing in my business. I was so deeply dishonest, but I'm unique, right? I'm special. And I'm good. So let's not leave that part out. And so because of all that, that's where I had to really get myself in the right place. Is there a way to turn this air conditioning down a little bit? It is. Thank you so much. The room is is this your room? It's fabulous. I just spent a wad at your little jewelry store. Had a ball over there. Thank you very much. So what happened is I learned about spiritual law. Mark had been mentioning spiritual law a ton, but I didn't even know what it meant. I mean, the phrase just didn't catch my eye. And I ended up really studying spiritual laws. Now, Emmett Fox is my guy. And so Emmett has the laws, and oh, I love me some Emmett. I tell you, he basically says, if you stay mad, you're signing up for misery. And I mean, it is so accurate. But when you do the affirmative prayer, which we'll get in more to 10 and 11, you have to understand that you're not going to believe it. See, I think we only want to do stuff we believe, and you got to do it and then find out. So I really do think it's just a gift, and I'll get more into that. So then it says on page 45, lack of power was our dilemma, right? Do we believe lack of power is my dilemma, or am I not being able to manipulate and get what I want? Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I am good at manipulating. I'm still good at it today. If I didn't have such a guilty conscience, I would manipulate all the time. One time I'm at the airport. Stories are the best way to teach. Thank you so much. Stories are the best way to teach, and I'm at the airport, and I didn't realize the biggest travel day I thought was Thanksgiving. It's the day between Christmas and New Year's. And so my girlfriend, my best friend's having a 50th birthday party in California. It's a surprise party, and I get to the airport at that early flight, which I will not take ever again. But I get to the airport, and it is the line is out the door. Oh, I am not going to make it. And I don't know what made me think. I looked at the guy behind me, and I said, hey, buddy, I'm going to cut the line if you want to come with me. You'd have thought I said, would you get naked? You know, I mean, he's like, he goes, no. I go, okay, well, I'm cutting it. So it's, the line is like the maze at Disneyland, where you got to do all this. Now, the way you cut a line is you make no eye contact with anybody. And so excuse me. I get almost all the way. One person grabbed my arm, and you just pull it. You don't turn around. There's no confrontation. I'm getting to the head of the line. And I come all the way to the front, and I realize I'm out of plan. You do not want to be out of plan there. You better have a plan. So when I'm doing this front line like this, I scan the group, because I'm a con artist. I mean, I'm good at it. So I scan the group, and I see a woman at the counter with 2 teenage boys behind her, and the husband's behind them. And I go, that's my family. So I go over there, and I came up from behind the guy, and I tapped him. I said, I'm going to miss my flight. Can I pretend like I'm a part of your family? And he looked at me and goes, honey, your sister's here. Swear to God. I thought, and she goes, okay. And oh my God, it was priceless. Now here's the part that really clinches the butt. I'm on the plane. I am so good. And here comes the guy that was in the line behind me. And he's like, I thought, well, I got here before you. Okay, so I win the deal. But now today I'd like to say I'm not that bad, but I could be lying too. I can do some pretty crazy stuff. The book talks about in 3 places. There's many more places that the book does talk about this, but these are very interesting. On page 25, it talks about the dilemma, right? That blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation the best we could. Consciousness, not even the problem. This is the problem. This sucker, when it gets a hold of something, it's a dog on a bone. And I mean to tell you, it's deadly. Don't fool yourself. If you haven't acted out, you want a big old attaboy. Well, let me tell you, you're miserable. You're coming through life just absolutely miserable because this sucker won't shut up. So it says blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation the best we could, or accept spiritual help. That is a dilemma. Why? Because they both suck. Right? If I need $200 by tomorrow, I'm not going to say a prayer. I'm going to go figure out how to get $200. Now, today I don't. Today I believe so strongly in this. But I'm also 20 years past those darkest days of my life. Talk about dark days of the soul. That was some miserable time. I mean, I'm talking 3 o'clock in the morning, sweating to death, eyes pinging open, pissed off at the world. Just, that 2 or 3 o'clock, watch a clock. You wake up at the same time because it's your adrenals that wake you up. And your adrenals are saying, you're in trouble. And we're giving out on you. Your whole endocrinology system is going flat. That's actually what my new guy says my throat is my adrenals again. So we'll see. Acupuncture. Okay, page 53. Crushed by a self-imposed crisis. Look at the words Bill chose to use. Crushed by a self-imposed crisis. We could not postpone or evade. Either God's everything or he's nothing. So this is all self, right? Blotting out your consciousness, a self-imposed crisis. Did I really cause this? Well, I tell you I didn't cause it, but once I put pen to paper, I realized that I actually did set that ball rolling. I damn sure did say that to so-and-so, who then told somebody I said it to them. So I told them to keep it a secret, and they didn't. Right? So all this trouble. And then page 133, but it's clear that we made our own misery. God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery, but if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize on it. So I know it really, cheerfully. Yeah, I was going to do something else, but I got to quit getting too cussy up here. So that he can demonstrate his omnipotence. I mean, this is what is so amazing, guys. To get to those two alternatives take a tremendous amount of pain. Tremendous, right? Somebody said this one time to me, using part of a prescription produces inadequate results, right? You at least told somebody about it. Well, that's a good step in the right direction. But, and some people say, boy, Katie, you're really about writing inventory. Well, before you judge it, do it. And if you don't like it, well, then give it up. But I tell you, it absolutely changed the course of my life. Evening Review is written, even though the book doesn't tell you to do it. On Awakening is written, even though the book doesn't tell you to do it, right? 10 steps. If I go to Marty with the 10 step, and I have 10-step buddies, so I strongly encourage you guys. I have my card up here. If you want to call me with the 10th step, I'd love to do one with you. And if we don't get you the freedom you need, we'll write it on paper and then we'll do it again. And now I'm a 9 to 5 gal, so I don't really. The evenings are for me, the dog, and some sort of hot guy on TV. Okay, so what I've found is filling the hole. You know what I mean? I'm not physically. Okay, but it's so yeah. I'll leave it at that. But so definitely call me, and if I don't get back with you in a week, don't think I'm not getting back. It's just you're falling in the order I can do this in. And I love listening to inventory. I love writing inventory, and I love listening to inventory. A fragmented program will leave me fragmented, right? That's really, really important. And once again, this is not about making you feel guilty that you haven't written inventory. This is just waking you up to doing it. Try it. Try it for 2 months. And if you don't like it, go back to what you were doing. But it's amazing. I can write. One time, Charlie and I were doing a big book weekend, and this chick bugged me so bad. Oh, I can still see what she was wearing. And she just took a disliking to me right away. Just something about my personality she didn't like. Well, she marches up at the break and tells me that I said something insulting, and that person has never written inventory, if you ask me. I'm like, boy, I really wish you'd have thought about that before you stepped into, you're asking me to talk for 3 hours. I'm probably going to say something that's going to bug you, and I don't need to know that it bugged you. It bugged you. It did not bug me, okay? So well, she went back down, and there had been a father sitting next to her, an actual priest sitting next to her. And I'd said something jokingly. I was raised Catholic. I said something jokingly. It really insulted her. So I start to write the inventory while Charlie's sharing. And it's just on a little piece of paper. And I don't even get past the 3rd column, and I see what a hypocrite I am. On any other given situation, I could have been either person in this play. And I was instantly free. And at the next break, I went up to her and I said, look, I really did consider what you said, and I apologize for that. And, she goes, well, that's fine. All the tension was gone, all of that. And then I go up to the priest to say to him that I'm sorry if it insulted him. And he looked at me and goes, oh, you got to be kidding me. No, that did not bother me at all. And then I got that check mark that said, see, she's a pain in the ass. I knew she was. But I did my due diligence, so, Okay, so this is what we do, right? We get up in the morning, we hurl out into life, resentful, fears, self-pity, and we're wondering why life is so hard. Now, don't get me wrong. I have everything in the world to walk around being miserable. Lost my second husband. I'm growing old with him. Charlie and I had such a great life together. I'm president of my shotgun club. We shoot shotguns together. We talk AA together. We just had such a perfect life to go off into the sunset. So do you think it's fair to say that I could be miserable? I really could be. I could be miserable sitting in a very nice house. I have a very nice car. Miserable. And let me tell you, I was that far from really stepping over the edge of misery. And Marty was none too kind. My sponsor likes to just put her foot right on your throat, You're like, God dang, girl, I heard you the first time. The 39th time, I'm starting to block you out of my head, But she really came at me tough because she'd walked this path with me and Joe before. And then somebody said one thing to me that changed the course of that attitude. And they said, Katie, you've been loved by two men, deeply loved by two men, and that is very true. No doubt about it. Would have taken a bullet for me, both of them. I don't know if I'd take a bullet for them. If you really want to know the truth, I don't know. But they'd take a bullet for me. And they said, most people don't get that in a lifetime. And I thought, you know what? You're absolutely right. So I just flipped the coin and started looking at it from a different perspective. And that is amazing. Now, I've done tons of work on it, My outward demonstration is always an expression of my inward condition, right? Life's not coming at me, it's coming from me. So if I'm driving through and there's a lot of traffic and all I'm doing is bitching about traffic, I can promise you that's all I see. Now, it's very difficult to go, okay, Father God, just tell me what, should I call somebody? Should I just sit back and relax? What should I do? And then the right answer will come if your own house is in order, right? That's a promise. And that gets easier and easier and easier. On page 58, it says, at some of these we balked, which means to stop suddenly and refuse to go on. Anybody in the room like that? Oh, yeah. It's like, no, I ain't doing that. No. Have you ever had your sponsor tell you to go do something, and you're like, okay. Every bit of me is like, I so don't want to do this, but I can't get out of it. I've been asked, I got to do it. And thank God, because 99.9% of the time, it turns out great, doesn't it? And then if I bring the good attitude, it's remarkable. And we'll do the definition of an attitude in the book is unbelievable. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. Absolutely. Page 60 to page 88 is about that many pages. We will run from it, we will hide, we will sponsor more people, we will get into service at the DCM level, which I'm not knocking that, but we will do 110 things before we do between 60 and 88, which is the actual physical work of the program. And I know this for a fact, for me and for everybody else. We run from it, we go to the gym, we spend money, anything that there's a 12-step fellowship for, we do, right? I mean, that's not a hard stretch. It's like, gamble, I'm in. Sexual stuff, I'm in. Anything that has a shopping, gym, we just try to fill that with anything we can. But then it says, but we could not, with all the earnestness at our command, which means serious. Do you believe this is a fatal illness? And you'll wish you were dead long before you're dead. That's just the case of it, right? This is a very slow death, alcoholism. And that's drunk or sober. It says, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. And it's so easy to rest on our laurels. The book tells us that's the only place in the book it says it's easy, is to rest on our laurels. On page 75, it asks, is our work solid so far? Now, Mark was really big about the structure. I'm not that big about it, but I did feel like it was worth mentioning. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? Have we skimped on the cement putting in the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? See, this is very interesting that we have, if you're building a house, you dang sure want your foundation solid. And we have to have a solid foundation. This is such a fatal illness that we have to come at it with that respect. That doesn't mean we're just obsessed with it, or we're this with it, we're that. It's just a matter of trying to change this so that it doesn't chatter so badly. And I mean to tell you that Chatter of a Thousand Monkeys is not just for the new guy. It is for us, and it's really tough in your teenage years when it's there. I mean, you're just unhappy, and you get glimpses of fun stuff, glimpse of this, a glimpse of that. But it's still dark days, and I call it dark night of the soul, and it's a tough one. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember, I said a little bit about this last night if you were there. Your old ideas are your values. They're not bad. Some of them are. If you've got low self-worth and you talk really rough to yourself, that's a tough one. That breaks my heart for you, because that's just not the person I see. The person I see is pretty spectacular. And for me to get you to see that, it's going to take some work, right? Because it's just what we do to ourselves. And these old ideas are the values. Like I say, I'm a good AA. I'm really a better AA than you are, right? I'm a good sister. I'm a better sister than you are. See, that's when it becomes problematic. Here's some old ideas. I had written these down. Bad luck comes in threes. Have you ever, somebody goes, oh, this is the second one. It's like, well, you're just waiting for the third one. Come on, bring the heat. It's going to go bad anyway. And once I've got three, I'm done. And it's like, well, that is the biggest crock of stuff I have ever heard. Don't believe that trouble comes in threes. It's just, time flies when you're having fun. Well, let's be miserable. I mean, think about some of these things we're saying. It's too good to be true. It's got to be false. Something's got to be going wrong on this. And I always say, watch out what you pray for. Because if you do believe in spiritual law, you are, like I said, life's not coming from me or coming at me. It's coming from me. So if I believe I will be, here's one, I'll be single for the rest of my life. I'll be unhappy for the rest of my life. I could possibly have financial problems. I mean, we can go down, and if you have children, oh my God, where the mind goes with children is terrible. I swear, my kids are 36 and 46, and when they call, I go, you okay? You okay? Sam goes, Mom. I'm like, I'm sorry, just had a lot of that when you were a kid. Teenager, you're killing me when you were a teenager. So, but that's just where we go. It's like you birth guilt. Guilt and fear. Here's your guilt and fear. Hang on to that for the rest of your life. And here's another one. If he loved me, he would, right? Women are nags, men are shallow, right? I mean, these are common value old ideas that will really yield you poorly, Now, where do the old ideas come? They come from a third column of a resentment inventory, and they come from, however you read the fear inventory, I read it, the fear and why I have it, the truth, self-reliance, and then the love letter from God. So however you read that paragraph, I don't care if you flip those around, as long as you got it going in that concept. And so the self-reliance column is going to be your old ideas. And then the sex inventory, which is really a conduct inventory. It doesn't always have to be an act of sex. I think the word really throws most of us off. So it's a conduct inventory. So how do you show up as a sister, as a father, as a neighbor, as a coworker, right? So that's the value in there. And that whole thing is all about you. Where was I jealous, suspicious, bitter, right? Inconsiderate, thoughtless. All of those things are going to be all my old ideas because somebody has stepped on my toes. Somebody did not get the memo in the morning of how you're supposed to treat me. And you're breaking the rules, right? We're going to go for about another 10 minutes and we'll take a break. Does that make your butt feel just a touch better? I said this last night too. I don't know if you were there or not, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But when my mother died and my dad remarried 3 times in 18 months, and then we had 4 live-in housekeepers, and I would have swore to God that's what made me alcoholic. I thought something made me alcoholic. I didn't realize. Today I understand it, regardless of what you think. This is what I think, that it's a genetic bullet. And from a genetic bullet, my brother's a hard drinker, my sister's an Al-Anon that likes to get a drink on. I'm the only real alcoholic in this family. We have plenty in the history, but it's kind of interesting because I didn't realize that my old ideas were influenced by my childhood, right? And it's so interesting because, I mean, how many of you guys will have an old idea and you go, God, I remember that when I was 8, and I'm still toting that thing around. And it changes. It kind of matures with you. So when we're looking at these old ideas, right, the self-esteem, the pride, the ambition, the security, the personal relationships, sex and money, what I like to do in a third column, and this will all be on CD, so you don't have to get overwhelmed with it. Your self-esteem is the value you value yourself, not feeling, but I am a good mother. I am a good AA. I'm a good worker, right? I'm a good neighbor. Rarely is mine low self-worth. So trust me, you can get in plenty of trouble with high self-worth, just like you can low self-worth, right? You're better than everybody. And I still believe that today, but that's just my opinion. And then your pride is the way I think others see me. So, that's when you get pissed. No one should do that. Don't they know who I am? That kind of stuff. That's always going to be your pride voice in your head. So if you have trouble figuring that one out. Your ambition is what you want to have happen, and your security is what you need to have happen. Two very different things. See, I want everybody to do as I wish. Is that asking too much? Could you just come in the room, single file, sit down quickly, get up, go? As a matter of fact, you need to be sitting here enthusiastic, not this. And Charlie always goes, Katie, you're making them think. I go, oh, I don't think that's what's going on. No. And so if everyone would do as I wish, right, that's always going to be my ambition. Now, my security is always going to be spiritual. I really just want us to get along. I want this to be beneficial. I want to give them hope. In order to give you hope, I have to talk about all the dangers you got to watch out for. Right? You don't send your children out into the world and just go, ride in the middle of the street, take that helmet off. You don't even need the seat. Just have that pipe sticking up. Just go on down. I mean, it's just the nature of it, right? So this is kind of the love from the Creator. My personal relationships are my deep-seated ideas about whatever's in column 1, right? My deep-seated ideas are, and I mean, wait till you start listing them. Your old ideas will blow you away. It'll be like, say in column 1, it's an AA member. That's a far stretch, isn't it? To be resentful at somebody in your home group. And so, and what your deep-seated, home group members are supposed to be respectful. Not like I'm really respectful all the time, right? Home group members are supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do that. Well, then you begin to see where you're going to be a hypocrite here in a minute. Because that was just a bad day I was having. See, now when I did that, I'll tell you the story about it, right? And I don't usually use sex and money. Some people do. I'm going to skip it because I don't really care for that in the inventory process. On page 44 here, the book is written so beautifully when you really break it down. It says, if a mere code of morals or better philosophy of life were sufficient to overcome alcoholism, many of us would have recovered long ago. But we found that such codes and philosophies did not save us. No matter how much we tried, we couldn't wish to be moral, we couldn't wish to be philosophically comforted. In fact, we could will these with all our might, but the needed power wasn't there. Our human resources, as marshaled by the will, were not sufficient. They failed utterly. Do you guys remember when Saturday Night Live did that little skit where the guy was look in the mirror and go, I love myself. Yeah, it's great. I mean, were you not if you were sober back then, you're putting sticky notes on your mirror. You are beautiful. You are loved. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. Those are fun little things to do. But I really leaned on that kind of stuff. So it's telling me a mere code of morals or better philosophy. I know infidelity is a problem. I am capable of doing it. Anytime in my sobriety, at 17 years, capable of doing it. That's untreated alcoholism. That is screaming trouble. Screaming trouble. You can step so far outside your values, you can't believe it. You steal. 40 years I have stolen. I mean, these are the kind of things I'm not saying I'm proud of, but if I tell you I did it, it might let you peek into your backyard. Right, this is what this is all about. And I didn't realize no one was more shocked than me at my behavior, right? So this is not about getting the hammer out and beating yourself up. This is about understanding what was going on with you. It's just untreated alcoholism. I'm not treating my alcoholism. So all I needed was a drink in my hand, and that behavior would have looked normal. But that's the tricky part of it. I did what I called chicken soup for the soul AA. Where you read the wonderful thing in the morning and you just went out about your day. And, God, that was such a great reading. I loved it. It felt so good. And then somebody says, what was it? It's like, I don't remember. I did do it. I did do it. Yeah, but I don't remember. You know, I'm going to be a nice person. I'm going to be this. I'm that. I am the most judgmental driver you will ever see in your life. I mean, it's unbelievable. I haven't hung up on a message before, and they call me back and go, oh my God, you just talk to everybody. And try to go, move it. Are you going? Are you staying? Go faster, go slower? What? I mean, it's terrible. And I drive a sports car. So I am really the one out there causing the problems. That's very, very clear to me. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So this third step, right, this second surrender, we got about 6 more minutes. This second surrender was the complete misunderstanding. As I was saying last night, I took the steps off the wall. I thought that was good enough, right? That I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood it. That's what I thought the third step was. I had no idea it talks about the root of our trouble, right? And the root of my trouble is selfishness and self-centeredness. That floored me because I didn't even believe it. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't believe it. It's easier to get one of us to quit drinking than it is to get one of us to quit playing God. I'm telling you, that's an easy task. It says the first requirement is that Katie's got to be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. I don't know about you guys. I was not convinced. My life looked great. I mean, I was incredibly successful. I was very loved by the community. I got my picture in the paper. I mean, when I read that line, I thought, well, that's clearly Charlie. That doesn't apply to me because that's how much I love my self-reliance. And that is really a tough battle you'll have because I said this last night, I believe it's all becoming a blur now, but let's just say you got a two-way glass and you got 3 family members in there and you're on the other side of the glass. I've also been watching a lot of crime movies, so I see that a lot. And somebody's in there talking, interrogating them, and they say, list 5 things about Katie that really bug you. I don't think they'd hesitate to tell you the 5 things right away. Each one of them would be fighting for their voice to be heard. I had a man do it, and it was in Canada. We were doing a weekend workshop, and I had said it on a Friday night, and he came back the next day in tears. And he said, I sat each one of my family members down, 2 kids and his wife, and he couldn't even hardly tell me what they said. And he said, I wouldn't have picked one of those things out. And I said, well, I'm so impressed. What a ballsy thing to do. And you followed the direction. And you could tell that he was having an awakening, right? Remember, spiritual awakening is uncomfortable. I thought it was enlightenment, right? A spiritual awakening is the wave crashing. And, you know, have you ever been out like in Hawaii when those waves crash and they throw you into the sand and you're standing there going, what just happened? I mean, I got it in between my lining of my bikini. I'm like, oh, that is a spiritual awakening right there. I tell you, I had to throw the bathing suit away and everything. And so it says the first crime that I have to be convinced. It says on that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody. Now here's the kicker, even though my motives are good. So now you're telling me I got to be careful of good motives? Oh my gosh, that is just too difficult. That one, and you know, the simple ones are letting you in traffic, you want a hand wave, holding the door for somebody, it's always nice to say thank you. If I hold, it has absolutely nothing to do with sex, by the way. Holding a door is called common courtesy. So let's flatten that old idea out right there, okay? So you hold the door for somebody, and if they walk through on their phone and never acknowledge me, I mean, I swear, there's a way, my brother used to do it to me, where you can kick their leg out when they're walking, when they're here, kick it. They used to go down. I mean, you go down, break your shoulder and everything, and somebody goes, what happened? Did you just trip on something? I mean, those are the thoughts that go through my mind. I don't know if you relate to that, but those are the thoughts that go through my mind. See, remember, selfish and self-centered, that we think is the root of our trouble. We are driven. We are not triggered. We are driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows. They retaliate, seeming without provocation, but we invariably find that we made a decision based on self that put me in that predicament. Now, let me tell you, the reason why you got to put pen to paper is because we need to do an in-depth thing with this so that I can find out when you made a decision. Because you made a decision so fast, so furious, you weren't even thinking about it. and then now the forest is on fire, right? And then you go, oh my God, I do remember thinking if she knew that this happened, this would go terrible. So I went out there and tried to plug the holes, right? But you don't normally see that until you really do in depth, And remember, inventory is designed to be written quickly. This is not a monumental, it's not like your first inventory. You should be able to write inventory in 6 minutes. That's it. You wouldn't, if I said go inventory the pantry of vegetables, you wouldn't open it up and go, okay, there's 3 cans of peas. I remember when I bought those peas. My favorite grocery store ever. You just go 3 cans of peas, 4 cans of corn. That's the same thing you do. And on inventory, you write the person that you're pissed off at and 3 things, only 3. We want 29. Only 3 things. The first 3 that come to your mind. We're going to talk about all 29, but I just want the first 3 things. And then you're going to do the 3rd column and then the 4th column. And that 4th column, remember guys, is so crucial. I don't like to just do selfish, dishonest, resentful, or selfish, dishonest, and afraid. I like to do selfish, the 5 ways self shows up. And I also, you can send me an email and send me your cheat sheets. They're straight out of the book, but it's just a little easier to follow. So that 4th column, the 5 ways self shows up, I want to know, how do you show up self-righteous? How do you show up self-pity, self-reliant, self-seeking, and self-centered? And so you got some meat on the bone to watch yourself throughout the day. And I say take that inventory into On Awakening for 2 weeks so that you are watching for this behavior. You have to give yourself some credit that you can see something and get through it. And it's remarkable because you're always watching those different angles, right? And we're victims of the delusion that we can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if we just manage well, right? We haven't gone an hour yet, but I know you're getting antsy. You got 3 more minutes. I already saw 4 of you. Look at your watch. Okay. There is a producer of confusion rather than harmony. Where did I step on the toes of my fellows? Where did I set the ball rolling? Where did I make decisions based on self? I'm a self-seeker even when trying to be kind. Do you think they really want us to go deeper? I mean, this never touched me for 17 years. Never touched me. And if you say it did for you, I don't believe that. I'm just going to say that out loud. I think that we wake up this much at a time because that's the nature of alcoholism. We aren't the ones that go in there and just go, you know what, I want to be Miss America by the end of next year. And that person can pull that off. I just want to be happy. I just want to figure out how to be happy and let people be people. That is not easy for me. I think I'm in the right room, right? And so it says we had to find the power by which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves. There's 3 one-words in the book, and this is one of them. Obviously. Apparently some book nerds love to know that information. But where were we to find it and how, right? Well, that's exactly what this book is about. Its main object is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problems. That means everything. You don't need 4 12-step programs. It's your alcoholism. We are the mothership. Thank God we are the mothership. So we don't need 4 other programs. We're not treating our alcoholism if we got 4 or 5 things squirting out there. That means that we've written a book which we believe to be spiritual as well as moral, and it means, of course, that we're going to talk about God. All we have in AA is identification and power. Charlie goes, this whole thing about, we talk too much about God. He goes, we're going to run the newcomer off. He goes, I think the not drinking is going to run the newcomer off. You know, we need you not to drink. Is that going to be a problem or God? Where are we going with this, right? That's all we have. We are a one-trick pony. Okay, we'll take a break, guys. Thanks. Thank you.